All right. Welcome to Latter-day Women. No, sorry.
Try again.
Let's try that one again.
Take two. Snap.
All right. Welcome to Myrna and Jenn read the Apocrypha. We're still in the Book of Jubilees.
And I feel like we're going to be in the Book of Jubilees for a whole Jubilee.
Oh, forever. It's going to be there forever. I don't know. I don't even know why well, I know why we picked it. It's been a really good one.
It has. Well, it started with Adam and Eve stuff a little bit in a different way than what we read previously in our the Life of Adam and Eve series that we did. If you haven't seen it, you should go see it. I really liked it. I learned a lot. So here we are, Jubilees. Noah, his kids, his grandkids, they're up to no good.
And now we're at Abram in chapter 3. And
in chapter
he was
13.
Told, 13, excuse me, chapter 13. I was looking at the 3. And he was told to go to Haran and take his wife and take Lot, who is his brother's son.
Brother, yeah, his nephew.
Yeah, there you go, nephew.
Okay, I'm just going to say it. I wish in here they would use those terms, but they don't. It's my brother's daughters. Okay, can you just not say niece and nephew? Maybe they didn't have those terms, but
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did. So,
all right,
a little complaint.
Yeah, well, it gets a little when you keep going down and down and down. You get lost, right?
You do.
So
a little.
All right, let's get started. Verse 1 of chapter 13. And Abram journeyed from Haran, and he took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother Haran's son, to the land of Canaan, and he came into Asher and proceeded to Shechem and dwelt near a lofty oak. And he saw and beheld the land was very pleasant from the entering of Hamath to the lofty oak. And the Lord said to him, to thee and to thy seed will I give this land.
All right. Here it's been said. The Lord says, this is the land you can have. Yeah. I'm gonna say it's probably gonna cause problems.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so. But I think we need to remind people, if they're just starting in the middle here, one of the reasons he's got Lot is because his brother Haran died in a fire.
Yes.
Trying to save the idols. And it was a fire that was started by Abram. So it's kind of like, I think, a little bit like his punishment. Here, take Lot and go with him.
With you because you killed his dad.
Yeah, he needs someone to be with, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to remind people of that. And so now they're in by this lofty oak, and God gives them the land.
I'll let you know. It sounds like one of those family secrets. Whoa. It sits there. Abram knows about it. God knows about it. That he started the fire that ended up killing Haran. But it's like, Lot doesn't know about it, or does he? Like, interesting. That feels like a little hidden family secret.
Yeah, kind of a little bit. Yeah. And it's interesting. Yeah.
And what is the deal with the lofty oak? Like
I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's a major landmark or something.
It must be
at that time, because I don't know that we still know where it is.
Right. A lofty oak is a very tall and impressive oak tree. The word lofty can also be used to describe something that is of high quality or rank, or that has great dignity or nobility. Maybe he was using it as a symbol a little bit. I don't know.
I think it is symbol, but it's also, that area is very desertous.
Yes.
And so it may be a landmark because it might be like the only tree for
a long
miles, right?
An easy landmark to say, my land goes up to the lofty oak.
Yeah. Like we always say, our land goes back to the white picket fence. We're fenced around our yard, but none of them's our fence.
Okay, fair enough.
That's, yeah.
All right. Anyway. I will continue. And he built an altar there, and he offered thereon a burnt sacrifice to the Lord who had appeared to him. And he removed from thence unto the mountain, Bethel on the west, and Ai on the east, and pitched his tent there. And he saw, and behold, the land was very wide and good, and everything grew thereon, vines and figs and pomegranates, oaks and Alexis. And terebinths and oil trees and cedars and cypresses and date trees and all trees of the field, and there was water on the mountain. So he had a water source and everything was going great. It really provided a lot. And I'm going to look up what this word is because I have no context. I've never seen this word before.
I think it's some type of a liquor.
Oh, it's another term for holm oak, a tree or shrub of that genus. So it looks like holly almost.
Oh, okay. I think it's interesting.
An evergreen oak tree.
Oh, okay.
It never loses its leaves.
But we said oaks. Okay.
And it's pronounced ilexes.
Ilexes.
All right. Okay. So some more oaks and special kind of oaks.
I think it's interesting that they use the word pomegranate. I mean, that is a word that has lasted, obviously. Along with oaks, but I didn't think pomegranates would have had that name back then, but it looks like they did.
And terebinths are a small southern European tree of the cashew family. And pomegranate, I'm just really going to quickly see where that comes from. Pomegranate, etymology. I'm seeing if it gives me somewhat of a date of when that came about. Oh, wow. It's a symbol of resurrection and life everlasting in Christian art.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. It is in the Bible.
Yeah.
It's in Exodus. So.
Yeah, it's already on in the Bible too.
Pomegranate designs are part of God's instructions for the making of priestly garments. It's on a lot of ancient coins of the Bible period, representing prosperity and beauty. The presence of pomegranate trees was symbolic of a nation's financial and material wealth. All right, so no wonder he would mention the pomegranate.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it had been, well, I don't know all of my fruits and how long they've been around, but interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting that it was part of the ceremonial garments.
Yeah, the pattern. I see when you cut it open, kind of that pattern.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. Okay. 7. And he blessed the Lord who had led him out of Ur of the Chaldees and had brought him to this land. And it came to pass in the first year, in the 7th week, on the new moon of the first month, that he built an altar on this mountain and called on the name of the Lord. Thou, the eternal God of art my God. And he offered on the altar a burnt sacrifice unto the Lord, that he should be with him and not forsake him all the days of his life. Okay, so Abram wanted to occupy God's time. No one else gets him.
Right. Well, I mean, to some degree here, it's just interesting of all things that Abram's like, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to, build an altar, do the burnt sacrifices. And earlier on, we read all about the new moon and that there were certain things that should be done. And so he's being righteous and fulfilling that.
Yeah.
And also asking God, don't forsake me here. Because
Yeah.
he knows that everyone else is not worshiping. They're idolatrous worshipers. They worship idols.
I think it's also a little bit of, I'm trying, God. So please don't forsake me. I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm trying to change the way I grew up, the way I was taught.
Right. That's true.
So that I turn unto you. So please don't leave me. Don't forsake me.
I like it. So he's doing the good things.
Yeah.
In 10, and he removed from thence and went towards the south, and he came to Hebron, and Hebron was built at that time. And he dwelt there 2 years, and he went thence into the land of the south to Bealoth, and there was a famine in the land. And Abram went into Egypt in the 3rd year of the week, and he dwelt in Egypt 5 years before his wife was torn away from him. That is a lot happening. So the Lord has, am I reading this right? The Lord said, yes, this will be your land.
Yeah. And he leaves.
And then he leaves, and he's in Hebron 2 years. And then he goes to Bealoth, and there's a famine. So it seems like he moves on to Egypt, and there he's 5 years.
Well, then read 12. You didn't read 12.
Oh, sorry. I just got so concerned about his wife was torn away from him. Now, Tanis in Egypt was at that time built 7 years after Hebron. So Hebron was built, and then Tanis became a place. I've heard of Tanis.
Yeah, I have to. So I hope we get the story of why his wife was taken from him.
Yeah, because that was like she was torn away from him. How did that happen? What happened?
Oh yeah, I just read a verse down, and it does tell us how it
happens. And I'll just let you know, I know why Tanis seems to, if it's the same Tanis, it was mentioned in Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's Tanis.
Oh yeah.
Where they find the Ark. So I was just throwing that out there as a little bit of, I know that name. Why? That's why Indiana Jones.
Yeah. I've heard of it as a place in Egypt, but I don't. I didn't know. I don't know where or anything like that. All right. So I wonder why he chooses to not dwell in the land. I hope we find out what that is all about.
I would agree.
All right, 13. All right. And it came to pass when Pharaoh seized Sarai, the wife of Abram, that the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Abram was very glorious by reason of possessions in sheep and cattle and asses and horses and camels and men servants and maidservants and in silver and gold exceedingly. And Lot also has his brother's son was wealthy. And Pharaoh gave back Sarai, the wife of Abram, and he sent him out of the land of Egypt, and he journeyed to the place where he had pitched his tent at the beginning, to the place of the altar with the eye on the east and Bethel on the west. And he blessed the Lord his God, who had brought him back to peace.
Okay. I don't remember hearing that story.
I don't ever remember. I wonder if it's actually in this. It probably is, and I just read over it and don't remember it. But here we're learning that Abram had a lot of possessions.
Yeah, I was not prepared for that.
And I did not know that. And I guess Lot got all of Dad's stuff, and so Lot's wealthy also.
Right. So I just looked it up in Genesis 12, chapter 12. I do remember this. Sarai was taken into the Pharaoh's harem, but after he believed that she was Abram's sister. Remember? He lied and said that she was his sister.
Oh, that's right.
And that's when that occurred.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But apparently he bought her release.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's the suggestion here.
So that's interesting that he says that she was torn from him. Mm-hmm. She may not have been torn from him if he didn't say he was her sister.
Yeah.
She was his sister. So there's a little bit of fault, I would say, on his part, that to blame it all on Pharaoh is kind of, to me, not fair.
I remember he had a reasoning for it.
Yeah, I remember there was a reason.
But I remember reading that going, why did you lie, dude? Like, Abram, what was that? Why did you lie? It didn't seem to have a reason fully. Right. So, but apparently it did cause him a problem.
It did cause him a problem. And then the Lord fixed it.
Yeah. So he did, though, come back to that place that he had built the altar.
Right. So he came back to the land he was given.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. That was like a 8-year, like, I'm going to go do my own thing and then come back. Interesting. Maybe he wanted to travel. I don't know.
So do you think he was having a faith crisis that we call a faith crisis nowadays? I mean, why would he not stay where the Lord put him and continue to do what the Lord is asking him?
I don't know.
What he's promised the Lord he would do.
I don't know. That is a really good question, because I'm wondering if I'm going into the King James Version of the Bible and going to that section here in Genesis, chapter 12. Yeah.
It just makes me wonder. I mean, we call them like faith crises now, but it may not have been that bad. But
yeah, it's really fitting the account here. Okay, so in verse 12, Genesis chapter 12, verse 12 in the King James Bible, it says, "Therefore it shall come to pass when the Egyptians shall see thee, she being a very fair, a good-looking woman, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive." So he's afraid he was going to die. So he said, "Thou art my sister, that it be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee." So that's why he lied.
Selfishness.
All right, so he was afraid that he was going to get killed. And then the Pharaoh ends up letting him go, but it doesn't explain why. It does take the whole account that he then sojourns other places.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting that he ended up, and I'm not even seeing like a Joseph Smith translation part.
Yeah, it doesn't say why he left.
Yeah.
It's not like God said, go visit Egypt for a little while, go visit Hebron for a little while. For some reason, he chose to go.
So this is interesting, though, from the Bible's perspective. Genesis 13, chapter 13, verse 6. Because they come into that altar place, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, Lot and Abram, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. So we will read on to see how that all turns out.
Yeah.
But that's how much they had accumulated in all of these animals and everything. Servants, maid servants, gold, silver, they were really wealthy. You go, buddy. I didn't ever picture Abram wealthy, did you?
Neither did I. No, I did not.
All right. All right. I should have read better.
If they said that, I did not catch
They
that.
did. They said that he had a lot of all of that.
Okay.
They may have said a few more things here, but it did say a lot of gold, silver. He was wealthy.
Okay.
I don't know why I pictured him poor. That's on me.
I guess compared to me, I think they're all poor. Not because I'm rich, but because it was back then, right?
I know, right?
They
Okay.
still dwelt in tents. I mean, come on.
I know, like, come on. They had mobile homes. Like,
yeah, the
just
first
gonna
mobile
say
home.
that. I know. Am I on 16 then?
Yes.
Okay. And it came to pass in the 41st Jubilee in the 3rd year of the 1st week that he returned to this place and offered thereon a burnt sacrifice and called on the name of the Lord and said, Thou, the Most High God, art my God forever and ever. And in the 4th year of this week, Lot parted from him, and Lot dwelt in Sodom, and the men of Sodom were sinners exceedingly. And it grieved him in his heart that his brother's son had parted from him, for he had no children. Oh.
Okay, so he's a bachelor that has lots of money.
Well, no, I mean, is he saying that his brother's son had parted from him for he had no children? I thought that he was Abram. Abram didn't have any children. Him and Sarai didn't have any at this point.
I don't think Lot did either. Lot didn't even have a wife, not that we know of.
Right. But I thought it was saying for he had no children, so it was hard for him to let Lot part. His brother dies. He basically takes Lot as his own son. And then it's sad because now he has no one. Because he could have had no children, but given it all to his nephew, right? In the end.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize Lot went to Sodom. That's not a good choice.
Oh, I knew he went to Sodom.
Mm-hmm. I didn't remember that part. So
that's
why he's school.
That's why he was told to leave. That's why he was told to leave with Sodom and Gomorrah.
That's where they left from, right?
Yep.
Well, I know he left from a bad place. I just didn't fully connect it with Sodom and Gomorrah.
It was Sodom and Gomorrah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Lot chose to go there, but I like that the Bible suggests or says it is because there was so much that the two guys had, they couldn't fit in the land.
That the land could not sustain them.
In them. Mm-hmm.
18. Oh, no, 19.
19.
And in that year, when Lot was taken captive, the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot had parted from him in the 4th year of this week, lift up thine eyes from the place where thou art dwelling, northward, southward, westward, and eastward. For all the land which thou seest I will give to thee and to thy seed forever, and I will make thy seed as the sand of the sea. Though a man may number the dust of the earth, yet thy seed shall not be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and the breadth of it, and see it all, for to thy seed will I give it. And Abram went to Hebron and dwelt there.
All right. I'm just going to say.
Okay, so again, the Lord said, you get this land, and he gets up and he goes to Hebron.
Hebron. What is his deal? What really? I don't understand what his deal is. The Lord has now told him twice. This, all you can see here is for you. And he's like, cool, I'll go over to Hebron.
Now, here's my question. Is Hebron the closest city and also included in all that God is giving him? And he doesn't want to live alone out in the desert, so he goes and dwells in Hebron. Is Hebron the head of this land or the main city, or is he part of this land? Are we misunderstanding?
Oh, in the Bible, Hebron is where Abraham established his home and purchased a burial site for his wife, Sarah, while Ur of Chaldees, which he keeps is where he was from, is the ancient city of Mesopotamia, considered to be Abraham's birthplace. And Egypt is a land Abraham traveled to during the famine.
So I'm saying Hebron is part of what God gave him.
Yes.
Okay, so we were misunderstanding for a minute there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Abram. We were judging you.
You were confusing. Yeah, we did kind of judge you, dude, and I apologize.
Yeah, we did. All right. But it's interesting that it took God to tell him twice that you get this land.
Yes.
For him to take it to heart.
Yeah. Because it doesn't seem like he really did. What was that you were saying?
I was just saying it just seems like it took him a while to
take it.
To agree and say, okay, because he leaves for a while, you know. That's interesting because I thought of him as very obedient.
Yes.
And it took his wife being taken from him and God getting it back for him to come back and say, okay, yeah, you give me this land, okay, I'll stay here.
Well, and remember, this is the Apocrypha. So what we're looking at in the Bible has its kind of own account of it, and this is not considered canon. So there could be pieces that maybe the Apocrypha has right, and I don't like saying this, but that the Bible did not incorporate in, and
or
so
was taken out.
Or was taken out, and so it's interesting to me. In that place, but it is Hebron is where Abraham established his home.
Okay. That makes more sense. Okay. All right. It sounds like it was a very big piece of land. Okay. You're looking something else up?
I'm just double checking the end of this, what it yeah, so in the Bible it says, then Abram removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord.
Okay.
So it is in this place of Hebron.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's on the plains. So
that makes
and Lot
sense.
separates himself. Yeah. Way to go, Abram. You just seem like you were really working with the Lord here. And so it was confusing. So I'm glad that there's less confusion now.
Yeah, we
got it.
We're judgmental. Okay. Let's go on. 22. Your turn.
And in this year came, and there's going to be a lot of names, people. Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Selasar, and Turgal, king of nations, and slew the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Sodom fled, and many fell through wounds in the vale of Siddim by the salt sea. And they took captive Sodom and Adam and Zeboim, and they took captive Lot also, the son of Abram's brother, and all his possessions, and they went to Dan. And one who had escaped came and told Abram that his brother's son had been taken captive, and Abram armed his household servants. Okay, now knowing how wealthy he was, that's going to be like a mini army.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, interesting. I don't know enough of the history there, but it seems like a lot of kings came together, slew the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Sodom. He actually fled.
Yeah.
But they caught him. Okay, and they took them all captive.
It says they took Adam and Zeboim captive. And Lot. And the son of Abram's brother, which is the son of Abram, and they went to Dan. So, how does Abram arm his household servants when he's captive.
Abram's not captive.
But it says that they took him captive in verse 23.
And they took captive Sodom and Adam.
Oh, Adam, sorry.
Okay. So in the King James Version, it spells it differently, not Adam, but spells it as let's see, Admah, Adam.
Okay.
And because it was the king of Adam and the king of Zeboim. So those two were both kings.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was reading that wrong. Okay, there we go. Okay. Well, yeah, he's rich, so he can arm them. That
he can.
That's interesting. I don't know. I guess I'm still surprised that Abram's so rich.
I know it's messing with my brain right now. I did not realize, and obviously it's important to understand because he could do this. He could arm a bunch of his servants.
Right. Yeah. Well, and he could buy his wife back, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot.
So yeah.
Okay.
25.
So 25. Let's see how this turns out.
For Abram and for his seed, 1/10 of the first fruits to the Lord, and the Lord ordained it as an offering forever, that they should give it to the priest who served before him, that they should possess it forever. And to this law there is no limit of days, for he hath ordained it for the generations forever, that they should give to the Lord the 1/10 of everything, of the seed, of the wine, of the oil, and of the cattle, and of the sheep. And he gave it unto his priests to eat and to drink with joy before him. Tithing.
All right, I feel like there's tithing, but it's a little interlude during the action.
Yeah.
And he armed his servants. And by the way, he was giving a tithing to the Lord, 1/10 of everything. I find it funny that they interject that into there at that point.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they want to say, yeah, he's rich, but he's also doing something.
Yeah, he's also giving 1/10 to the Lord in all things, and his priests to eat. And that still happened later on. We know that the priests prepared it and were able to eat some of what was the leftover of the sacrifices.
I think it's interesting, 26, that first sentence, or part of the sentence, and this law, there is no limit of days. Because right now we have a whole lot of people that want the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to stop asking for tithing because they think they have enough money because they have so much money. But what they're not realizing is they have to be able to pay for all these buildings and all of this.
The land for all the temples and all the temple maintenance and
and all of that, regardless of whether they're open or not. I wish they would tell us how much they spent during COVID on those buildings with no
one in them. Yep.
But here it says that's never going to be an end to that. So everybody stop asking for it. Find something else to complain about.
Right.
I guess, because you just want to complain.
I agree.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
I like it. That it interjects it right there and just says, by the way, he was wealthy, but he also gave a lot, and it was to the Lord that he gave it.
Yep. Yeah, I like that.
Okay. And I believe now back to the action.
I hope so.
And the king of Sodom came to him and bowed himself before him and said, Our Lord Abram, give unto us the souls which thou hast rescued, but let the booty be thine. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. That word just, I never thought I'd hear that in the scriptures. Go ahead.
I did not either. I could see why you might take that phrase
From the Lord, right? From the Lord.
From the Lord. And Abram said unto him, I will lift up my hands to the Most High God, that from a thread to a shoe latchet, I shall not take aught that is thine, lest thou shouldst say, I have made Abram rich, save only what the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men who went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. These shall take their portion. So he must have helped rescue them, and Sodom is like, hey, give me my people that you've rescued. And he just wants to make sure, hey, there should not be anything that says I have taken more than I should have, I have rescued, and let it just be known, because it would be so easy.
I'm sorry, that was the king of Sodom that used the word booty. Sorry, I thought it was, for a minute there, I thought it was God. But no, it was King Solomon, because he asked for those souls that he rescued, but he wanted to let him keep the booty.
But let the booty be thine. But he's like, hey. I don't want to say that I got rich off of this. Save only what the young men have eaten, and the portion of men who went then shall take their portion. So you guys take your own stuff. I don't need to be made richer here.
Yeah.
Sounds like a man of God.
I think they think that he should get the tithing.
Yeah.
But he says, no, it's that I don't need to be any richer. And you take your portions and do what you're supposed to do with the rest. That is interesting that I did not realize that it was this early, and I guess it's in the King James, and I got to go back to the Bible. But I didn't think it was this early that we talked that tithing was set.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. It's interesting.
It is interesting.
So I guess we learn and have tithing now. That's something that needs to be done. And I think we're learning a little bit more about Abram. He is he's true to his word that he does want to be on God's side, right? He does want to do what God wants him to do.
Yes, he does.
He doesn't want additional praise. He doesn't want any more riches. He does just want to do what God says.
And so, I will say that in the King James version of the event, it says that Abram armed and took 318 servants. He had a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, those are just the men servants.
Oh, okay.
So he didn't send the women off, right? So he does have a huge household.
He's got a lot going on.
He's feeding that many people. He has that much cattle and sheep and all of that. Like, that guy's got a lot.
Wow.
Like,
he's very successful.
Very successful man.
Okay. But well, that's a new way to look at Adam.
To look at Abram.
Abram, sorry. Oh my God.
They look so much the same. I know.
They do.
It's okay.
And I'm tired.
Yeah, it's a new way to just look at him. Like, my scope in him has just like broadened. And I've read the Bible before. I've studied this in it as my youth and stuff. And yet not until now has it like sunk in how wealthy this guy was. And for him to have been able to been involved in idolatry, he probably would have had these huge statues, these big things, and really been looked at as somebody. But instead, he's offering these sacrifices to the Lord, 1/10 of all he has. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. So. But it's a great example to us, right?
Yes, a totally great example.
All right. Thank you for being with us as we go through chapter 13 of Jubilees. Tomorrow or next time will be 14 of Jubilees. Mm-hmm. And we're just glad you're willing to listen if you're listening. And if you like what we're doing, I know sometimes it's kind of tedious, but I think we're studying the Word of God. And that's what we've been asked to do. And it doesn't mean we have to study just certain things, you know. So if you like it, please hit the like and subscribe so that we can have some interaction with you and have some feedback on what you guys think. We're just run-of-the-mill people wanting to learn more about the way our Heavenly Father works with his people. So thanks for coming, and please come again. And as always, remember the Apocryphal rules.
Apocryphal rules.
All right. Bye, guys.
Okay, bye.